All right, what's going on, everybody? It's me, Cameron Fuller, again, here at the BET Experience, and right now, I'm about to sneak into the Producers Roundtable. Let's see what they're talking about.
Today, you're going to be hanging out with some of the top producers in the game. This panel, as you can see, is from concept to screen. It talks about the world of television and film production. We're going to have some amazing people who've been at it for a long time to give you some game from that. Let's start out with the basic question. What is the actual role of a producer, and why is it so important to have a good producer on a show?
A producer is at the helm of every show, and at least from the network perspective, we hold them responsible for really seeing the vision from beginning to end. So whatever we talked about before, actually delivering on that product.
Miles, tell me, what's the importance of a producer and having the right producer on a project?
There's all kinds of producers. Like, I've worked with producers, the only qualification they have is that they know somebody famous and they're a producer on the project. And then I've worked with people that they're a producer because they have money or access to money. And then I've worked with producers that are actors and they're getting a producer title. So it just depends on what you want your role to be. As a showrunner, that's a much different job where you have to look at all the key hires. You have to bring everyone on board. You're responsible for not only making sure that the creative is right, but also making sure that the production runs smoothly, because you're running a 10, 20, $30 million company essentially. And so every day, especially if you're a producer that writes, you're always changing things. You're always changing the writing to fit your production challenges. And then you're deciding, what are the things that I'm going to fight for? What has to stay? What do we have to keep? And what do I have to be flexible on in order to make sure that the production stays within its means?
I know, Deb, you're working more so from a physical production, logistical and financial. I was talking to Tiff a little while ago about some of the challenges that we're facing now because the game has changed and the money's not falling out the sky. What are some of the challenges that you face now in today's landscape from a physical production standpoint?
I think you said it appropriately. We're always just trying to figure out how to take what we have and turn it into what is on the script. But what I'm finding out in this new landscape after the strike is that we have to look at things even differently. It cannot be business as usual. So now we're looking like, how can we think outside the box to make something? So it's really trying to see how can we make the same quality of production that we've been doing with the new budget sizes that we've been given.
I wanted to ask Tiff, what do you think, when you're looking for a project and you say, okay, I'm gonna give some money, what are you looking for in an idea? What can you tell the audience about what's a good idea? And when you see it, what do you do?
I look at development different now. I think when I was an exec much earlier in my career, I just looked for the ideas that I thought were great, right? And I'd be like, let's develop it, right? I'm passionate, like, let's go for it. And then you develop this great project. But then when I went to programming, there wouldn't be a home for it. You have to look at who is actually consuming your content on your channel, right? Like, what is the age group? What do they like? What do they want? And then you have to tailor fit the shows to that.
Why is it important to have people of color working on shows about people of color?
Because it's really nice to look outside and see yourself. And so for me, I started my career and I probably was always the one Black person on a show. And so you felt very small. And what I have been blessed to do with our team, especially we do a lot in Atlanta, and Atlanta is a right to work state. So we have what we call a very low key, we don't really make it out there to the world because we want to make sure that we can continue it. But we do this thing where we call it like an underground railroad, where we try to bring in at least one or two people that we can give a union job that would not normally be able to do so, someone of color. And so especially working on a BET show is super important to be able to do that. And so any and every opportunity we get to do anything on our projects that we can bring, because it's not enough of us. And it's really dear to me because for so many years, I was literally the only one.
Miles, when you're working in showrunner, producer, exec, level, what do you do to try to make sure there's more people of color working on the show?
We interview a lot of people. Like, we make sure that whatever list we get, we go outside of it. We always made sure that we were diversifying every department. because it can't just be one person in the department. You have to make sure that that trickles down. There's a big uphill battle in terms of when you're going, into these situations in these towns that have had production for a long time and done it a certain way for a long time. You have to make an extra effort.
Can you tell me about a project that you had that you got frustrated about, that really, it didn't work out the way you wanted it? Or have there been times where you were really passionate about something and it didn't work out, or anything like that?
Working at some of the bigger networks, and if we had like a lead, it was always like, let's just make sure hair, makeup, and wardrobe is of color, and then that's all we have to worry about. It would always be a fight for me to say, well, let's keep going. You know what I mean? Like, let our lead actors be able to look behind the camera and see not just hair, makeup, and wardrobe. That's easy, right? Because those are the ones that touch. But when we're talking about, and you kind of made mention to it, what about our grips? What about our electrics? There's just still, those categories are not categories that we see a lot of our faces, and I feel like it's just not out there.
Can I add to that? I think it's everyone having that same goal. I think we all have to be willing to hold hands. So when all parties are really active in the process, you can really make change.
A few more questions. Starting with you, Miles, what's an important piece of advice that you've received that you think professionally can help young producers or people who are trying to make it? What do you tell those folks out in the audience, some game from your evolution as a showrunner producer?
I mean, the most important piece of advice anyone gave me, I came into the business wanting to be a director, and they told me to write. And writing really allowed me to create a lot of opportunities for myself. Just every step you take towards actually realizing something that people can watch, like you thin out the crowd around you. So if you can just get something done, you're gonna be ahead of the game.
And rest in peace to my brother John Singleton, but he told me one time that, if you don't see the characters and the people in the world that you want to do, you got to write it yourself. How about you, Deb? What are some advice, some game you got that you like to try to give the audience today?
I think Tiffany said it earlier, and it's really being open, right? I think so many people come in with, I want to be a director, and just going straight to the director route, but there's so much you need to learn before you get there. And the beautiful thing about our business is that you get to do one show and try a department, and you don't like it, you get to try another one. You know what I mean? And you get the opportunity to learn. And it's so much easier becoming a creator, in my opinion, showrunner, when you know what it takes to become that. I would say use every opportunity you can.
Tiffany, can you give us a little bit of professional advice from the folks, something that you learned that you want to share with the audience?
Yeah, keep your eyes on your own paper. It is so easy to look at other people and say, oh, they're doing this, they're rising higher than me, they got that job, all of these things. It's your own race. It is your own, whatever is destined for you is going to be for you. So my biggest piece of advice is just live your life, do the best work that you can, and just focus on yourself, and you'll go far.
If someone wants to become a producer and doesn't know where to start, Issa Rae is an example I always use. What advice would you give them? Where do you start, Miles?
The first thing you have to do is tell your own story in a compelling way. If you surround yourself with a group of people that are interested in being creative, and you can galvanize them all together to make something, you're a producer. Producers are just like, you're a Swiss Army knife for the production. And if you can get your friends together and get something made, then you're a producer. So start being a producer.
100%. Hey, Deb, what do you say?
There's a lot of different programs that are out there that you can actually tap into, depending on what it is that you want to do. And I think Miles said it, like, literally, you have an iPhone. Do it.
Tiffany, any words?
I'm going to say something different since they've said all my answers, which is what I did is get in at a production company at whatever entry-level point or point you can get into that company. Make the most of it. Do the best job that you can do, because they'll be able to see your work, see your progression, promote you. But if you're at a production company that's doing a lot of work, there'll be someone there that will advocate for you.
One of the things that's most important to me as a person who came from a more street level perspective to Hollywood, you gotta make sure that you treat people good along the way. I can't tell you how important that is to not have an attitude. I go Atlanta, LA, whatever, everybody thinks they're a superstar. But because I was cool with everybody and did a good job and was trying to do my best, those people get in positions and can make money for you. Thank you, guys.